Hello everyone, my name is Abhishek and welcome back to my channel. Today is episode 4 of GCP Zero to Hero series, and in this episode we will learn one more important GCP service, that is Compute Engine. So you'll understand what is Compute Engine, what are virtual machines, how to connect to a virtual machine that you created on Google Cloud Platform. You'll also understand types of compute, region, zone, and much more in today's video. To make it interesting, we will learn this as an extension to episode 3. In episode 3, we learned about IAM. We learned how to create an IAM user within a project. So what we will do today, we will create a new IAM user. We will grant this new IAM user access to Compute Engine resource. And then we will see how to log in through that IAM user, not through admin, but through IAM user, and how through that IAM user, you can create resources with the Contain Compute Engine API. This video is going to be very interesting. I'm sure you're going to learn a lot of things if you're a beginner. So make sure you watch it till the end. Now, before we get started, a quick reminder, complete notes for this series is shared through this GitHub repository. It's a free and public repository. You can go to the day-wise folders. For example, today is day 4. Just head to the day 4 folder, look at the Readme file. It has all the things that I'm going to cover in the video, along with commands and architecture diagrams if required. The reason why I keep saying this, because we take a lot of effort in preparing these notes. So make sure you use it for your revision. So just start this repository, fork it, so that whenever I make changes to this repo, you get the updates. Perfect. Now, without any delay, let's start with understanding Compute Engine resource. So as I told you, we will continue where we left from episode 3. In episode 3, we learned about IAM, Identity and Access Management, which is used for authentication and authorization. We understood that using a bank example. So now let's go back to the console. Instead of day 3 IAM, I will create a new project. So let me call this project as, let's say, VM demo, because we are going to create a virtual machine. I cannot create an organization with free trial account. So I'll stick to no organization and click on the create button. Again, a recap, you can create IAM at organization level, at folder level, and also at the project level. What we are going to do, we will create IAM today or a user today at the project level. So click on VM demo, right? So this is the project that we just created. I'll search for IAM. Perfect. This is the IAM for this project space. I'll try to create a new user here. Imagine this is the scenario. But Abhishek, why are we creating this IAM user? Imagine you joined as a cloud engineer and you got a request. There is a new DevOps engineer. And this DevOps engineer, let's say, has an email ID xyz@example.com. Example.com is your company, let's say. And this DevOps engineer says, hey, I'm new here. I want access to Compute Engine API so that I can create virtual machine for my developers. Now my developers are asking to create a virtual machine with a specification. So I can do that. As a senior, can you grant me access? Now, as a cloud admin or as a senior member of the team, you have access to the admin or you have your own IAM with admin privileges. So what will you do? You will just head to the IAM section, just like I've shown, and click on the grant access button. Here, you will provide the email ID of the person. In our case, because again, this is a free account, I will use one of my old Gmail IDs. Let's say veeramalla.abhishek@gmail.com. Okay. So because this is a valid Google account, Google identified it and it said, okay, I will add this new principal or I'll add this new identity. Now you need to grant the role as we learned in the previous lecture. There are two parts, authentication and authorization. Now, this part will provide authentication to the new DevOps engineer, but DevOps engineer clearly mentioned, I need access to the Compute Engine API. So what you will do is you will search for Compute Engine. Okay, my bad. Yeah, click on a role and look for the Compute Engine role. Compute. Perfect. There is something called Compute Admin. This will grant the entire compute privileges to this DevOps engineer. Imagine if you only grant viewer from the basic, what happens? If you only grant viewer access, this person will be able to see the Compute Engine API. This person will be able to access the Compute Engine API, but will not be able to create the resource. You can also give it a try. Like instead of giving the compute admin permission, just try with viewer permission. Okay, I'll go with compute admin this time. Click on the save button. And additional thing that you have to do, you also have to go ahead and enable Compute Engine API. Because to enable Compute Engine API, you need additional privileges, something like service enablement. Either you can grant the IAM user that permission, or you can just click on VM instances, enable the API. Perfect. Now this request is done. Now let's switch to this particular actor. Now imagine you are a new DevOps engineer who joined the organization. Till now, you played the role of the cloud administrator and you have granted access to a DevOps engineer. Now assume the role of a DevOps engineer, of a person who recently joined the company. Let's wait for this to be done, because only then I can show you as a DevOps engineer how I can log into this Google Cloud account, how I can access this project, and how I can create a virtual machine. Okay, let's refresh. It's not done yet. Let's try it one more time. Great, still going on. It just took a couple of minutes. Perfect. Now the API is enabled. I will take the incognito window, and as a new DevOps engineer in this company, first thing I will access console, console.cloud.google.com or console.google cloud. I'll provide the email ID here, my email ID. That is the email ID of the new joined DevOps engineer. This person also has to provide the authentication. So if this person is using Gmail ID, has to provide the password of the Gmail ID. If this person is using company's account ID, then this person has to provide the password of the company's account ID. Perfect. And if two-factor authentication is enabled, this person also has to provide two-factor authentication. Great. Now I have logged in as a DevOps engineer. Now if I click on the project section, now I cannot find the VM demo here, but if I click on all, now this is the place where I can find the VM demo, because these are the projects that this person or I can create as a DevOps engineer. But this is a project that is created by the administrator and I am granted with the access. So that's why I'm seeing this in the all section. Perfect. VM demo. Now, as a DevOps engineer, let me try to create a virtual machine. But Abhishek, what is this compute resource? I'm completely new. Can you please explain me what is compute? Very simple. So compute in the networking terminology is nothing but CPU, memory, and storage. You can consider it as a typical hardware. So now Google Cloud provides this as a service. Just like how you have your server, right? In the traditional IT world, you can go to HP, you can go to IBM, and you can buy a server from them, or you can buy a laptop from them. In the same way, Google Cloud provides a service where you can get a virtual machine. But Abhishek, what is virtual machine? Very simple. What Google Cloud does here. So Google Cloud buys servers. We learned this in episode 1 as well. And Google Cloud places these servers across different regions of the world so that they can serve customers across different regions. And within these servers, because they cannot share one entire server with one of their customer or one of their user, because this server comes with huge specification, something like 1000 CPU, 1000 GB RAM, which is too much for an end user. So GCP or any cloud provider, they use a concept called virtualization, right? Some of the virtualization platforms are Zen or VMware. Using that, they break this physical server into multiple small servers, which are called as virtual machines. This is the easiest way of understanding what is a virtual machine. Now, whenever as a user you request for a virtual machine with a specific configuration, GCP says, okay, take this small part according to what you ask for it. Okay, now how do we create this virtual machine? As a DevOps engineer, how can I do it? Very simple. Once you have access to the compute engine, head to VM instances, click on create instance. But Abhishek, are there different types of virtual machines? Definitely yes. Because GCP does not create equal sized virtual machines. GCP asks you for the configuration. So GCP has servers with virtualization setup. And if you're requesting for 2 CPU, 2 GB RAM, GCP says, okay, let me instantly create that virtual machine for you. Or if you're requesting for 10 CPU, 10 GB virtual machine, 10 GB RAM virtual machine, GCP says, hey, I just created this for you. Go ahead and take it. Or GCP might even create some pre-configured virtual machines and GCP can give it to you. You can decide that configuration in the type of compute section. So what are the different fields when you want to create a virtual machine? First one is provide a name. For example, I will say my first VM, and you can choose the region. As I told you, in GCP, Google Cloud Platform or Google Cloud has virtual machine servers across different regions. So you can pick up a region that is closest to you so that you will not run into latency. Latency is nothing but you will not run into any delays while making requests to that servers. I'll choose a region that is nearest to me. I'm in India, so I'll go for APAC, and within APAC, I will search for Asia South one. Okay, this is nearest to me, so I'll go with it. Abhishek, what are these echoes, right? So you see low CO2, low CO2. What are those things? So basically, it's a less carbon emission region that is provided by Google Cloud Platform. So if you want to build a sustainable organization with sustainable ecosystem or sustainable compute system, you can go for those. You can also choose an availability zone. So within one region, uh, Google Cloud sets up multiple uh, data centers. So you can pick up again a data center of your choice. You don't know where exactly are these data centers, so you can pick up anything. Perfect. Asia South 1A. Abhishek, can I pick up 2 data centers? Thing is, you can create another virtual machine and you can put that virtual machine in a different data center, or in short form, it is called as availability zone. And you can set up high availability or you can set up disaster recovery with 2 different instances, which is a complex topic we will learn in the future videos. For now, choose the region nearest to you and choose a availability zone of your choice or a data center of your choice. Perfect. Now, depending upon the costing, depending upon your requirement, you can choose type of instances. So there is a general purpose instance. There are compute optimized instances. There are memory optimized instances, storage optimized instances, and GPU based instances. What exactly are these things? Very simple. If you need a virtual machine which is high in CPU or which is CPU optimized. Maybe you're using, or your applications are those applications which run multiple threads. Imagine your developers have written a Java application, and that Java application runs with multiple threads, and each of those threads are compute intensive. Then you can go for a compute optimized virtual machine. It also says here, machines types for performance intensive workloads with high performance per core. In the same way, if your developers have written the application which is memory intensive, maybe it is taking huge heaps of memory, or maybe it is something like databases, you can go for memory optimized compute. You can go for storage optimized when you need huge amount of storage. Maybe you're saving a lot of files, or maybe you're saving some database dumps. GPUs, you all know, when you're going for gaming or when you're going for AI workloads, in such case, you can go for GPUs. But Abhishek, I want a very simple one. Like, I want to create a basic application and learn GCP. Then you can go for general purpose compute. And even in the general purpose compute, you have different characteristics. For example, you have 10 CPUs virtual machine, you have virtual machines with again huge amount of memory. What you can do, you can pick up as per the costing. The cheapest instance that you can get is of E2 family. Okay, so select E2. You can see it costs $30 per month. You already have $300 credit, so it is well in the limit. And what you can do further to reduce the costing, you can select even a less specification instance. Within the E2 family, you have E2 micro, E2 small. E2 micro comes with 0.25 CPU to 2 vCPU, and E2 small comes with 0. CPU to 2 vCPU. What I'll do, I'll select E2 small, right? And in the advanced configuration, I'll just scroll down and I will say 1 CPU per core. So this way, right, it is only costing me $15.89. Very, very less. You can also create 2 instances. You can create even more than that. So what I get now, 2 vCPUs plus 2 GB RAM, which is perfect if I want to run a demo application. Now in the next section, you can choose an image of your choice. Personally, I prefer Ubuntu, and I would recommend Ubuntu if you are a beginner. So just search for Ubuntu here, because you get lot of help if you're going for Ubuntu. My bad here. Check for Ubuntu, and within Ubuntu, pick anything. That's fine. Default is 10 GB, which is the storage on that compute. If you want to go for more, you can increase it, but it's totally fine. Select. You can also look at the other options. Data protection. Right now, it's not important. Networking. You can allow HTTP traffic so that once we can create this instance, we'll also explore how we can deploy Nginx on it, just for understanding. If you want, you can also enable HTTPS traffic, but right now HTTP traffic is good enough, port 80. If you want, you can provide name for this host. That's it. We are all good. Observability is not needed. Security, there is one thing that I have to mention. Once you create this virtual machine, you will connect to this virtual machine using a concept called SSH. Many of you might be aware of SSH. SSH is secure shell. This is a protocol that is used to connect to virtual machines, or this is a protocol that is used to connect to Linux machines in a secure way. So we will be using this SSH protocol. For SSH protocol, you need a public and private key. But if you're using Google Cloud Shell, you don't have to do anything. If you want to connect it from your laptop terminal, only then you have to provide it with the public key. In today's video, we will explore it through Cloud Shell itself. Okay, rest all looks good. So I'll click on the create button. Now, when I clicked on the create button, you can see here my first VM is getting created. with all the inputs that we have provided to Google Cloud Platform. I need a Ubuntu, I need 2 CPU, 2 GB RAM. Who has taken this input? This input is taken by the virtualization platform of Google Cloud Platform. If there is an existing instance, it will give you. Otherwise, it will create one instance for you and it will give you the IP address of the instance, or it will give you the instance to which you can connect. Now, all this is possible only because you were, you have granted access to the DevOps engineer with the IAM user. If the DevOps engineer did not have the IAM access, then this was not possible. Anyways, you can also try it by revoking the access or just giving the viewer access and try to create that using the IAM user. Perfect. Now this is the instance. As I told you, SSH is a protocol. So using this protocol, you can connect to this virtual machine. You also have the Cloud Shell. So activate the Cloud Shell. Now Cloud Shell will connect to this instance. Otherwise, we can use the gcloud as well. The gcloud command line. You can find all these steps. If you go to the Day-4 folder, you can create a new virtual machine through the CLI as well. Everything that we did till now is through the user interface, but by running this command, you can also create the same instance through the CLI. You have to provide this command, you have to provide the zone, you have to provide the family and the instance type. What is the image? We have used Ubuntu. And if you want to enable any traffic, just provide this, and using this command, you can SSH to the instance. This is through the CLI. But what I have done through the UI, and using Cloud Shell, I connected to this instance. See VM demo, the one that we created. Okay. Sorry, this is the project. Now let's see if we are connected to the instance. I'll say uname -a. What does it say? It says Linux CS default followed by the particular timestamp. It's not connected to the instance because this is the terminal that is provided by the Cloud Shell, and this is the response. So what I'll do is I will run this gcloud command. Gcloud compute SSH. What is the name of the instance? My first VM. Let's try that. I'll just copy paste it. Region is going to be Asia South 1 -a followed by my first VM. Let's try this. Okay, it says, do you want to connect? I'll say yes. Okay, I'll leave it to the default public and private key, and looks like we are getting connected. Updating project SSH metadata. It is working on the connection. This only happens for the very first time because once it is connected, next time it don't ask you for generating the public and private key. Perfect. Now you can see I am connected through my to my virtual machine. It says my first virtual machine. Now in this virtual machine, you can deploy your application, you can create any folder. For example, I can just do mkdir test and a test folder is created. This is just like your laptop, but this is a virtual machine on the Google Cloud Platform. I'll show you how to create Nginx and how to access a default web page. For that, what we need is how to install Nginx on Ubuntu, because this is a Ubuntu virtual machine. We have that on the GitHub documentation. Sudo apt update. This is the first command that we need to run. So why do you need to run this command? Basically, when you create an instance with Ubuntu operating system, because this operating system was packed some time back, this is not a very new operating system. So every time you create an instance, you have to update the apt repositories so that it will fetch all the new packages or all the new versions. Great. Once we are done with it, in the documentation, sudo apt install -i nginx. Let's also do it. Sudo apt install -i nginx. This is going to install nginx. You can run anything. You can run Jenkins, you can run Nginx, but Nginx is a very simple package, so I thought of showing it to you. Sudo systemctl enable Nginx. Let's do this as well. And finally, let's just start Nginx. Perfect. Now it says Nginx is started. We can verify by running ps hyphen aux pipe grep Nginx. Okay, looks like it is running. The process is on. You can also see that using systemctl status Nginx. Great. It is enabled and it is active as well. Now we can access Nginx on this application IP address followed by the port. If you want to do it through the terminal, you can also do it from here. Curl localhost :80. Perfect. Thank you for using Nginx. So we got the response from Nginx. You can also see that from the browser. Very simple. Just go to the instance, see if the public IP is enabled for this instance. It should be somewhere in the details. Let me pull this down. Great. Okay. So right now there is external IP address. So let's copy this external IP address, take an incognito window, paste the IP, port 80. Welcome to Nginx. Why are we seeing this? Because when we created the instance, we have allowed the HTTP traffic. Otherwise, by default, all the traffic is blocked. We will learn that in episode 6, I believe, where I'll talk about the VPC configuration, how you can unblock configuration or how you can unblock port configuration on an instance. When we created this instance, we only enabled HTTP traffic. That's why Nginx is accessible on port 80. Otherwise, if you want to do a specific port, if you want to do bunch of ports, I will explain that in episode 6 or episode 7. But for today's video, this is how Google Cloud's Compute API resource works. I hope it's an informative session. If you just recollect, we have learned a lot of things in today's video. We learned how to log in through IAM. We learned how to use IAM user. We learned Compute Engine API, how to enable it, how to create a virtual machine. We learned about SSH. We learned how to access that through Google Cloud, Cloud Shell, how to access Nginx through the Google Cloud Shell, and also through the browser. If you are worried, Abhishek, I want to connect this through my terminal, not through the Cloud Shell. Please wait. Let's go step by step. Right? I hope, again, you found it informative. If you have someone who is learning Google Cloud, please share these resources with them. See you all in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye, everyone.